Booyah! We're live, baby. 2 viewers already. Ooh, we're rolling deep tonight. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It is another live stream, and I'm just going to talk, make some small talk. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to pin because I need to get this thing moving along with this Amazon affiliate link. Of course, it didn't work. We'll try one more time. Try it like that. And then if I pin, I can pin that thing. Boom. All right, so if you click on that link, if you're going to buy something from Amazon, you got to be kidding me. All right. It's kind of hidden. I don't know how this works. It's a nice little experiment. It truncated it, so you have to click on it to see the link. But if you're going to buy something on Amazon, click on that link first, and within the next 24 hours, if you buy something from there, I'll get a penny or 50 pennies or whatever it is at no cost to you. And I just have to get 3 people to do that in a certain amount of time so that Amazon will leave me alone and just let me keep that account open. So I haven't really been pushing that or doing what I got to do there. Just figured, I was looking at it and I'm like, I can pin that in the chat, and then it's just there for the whole thing. There's also lots of ways to support the channel below. I'm going to do the plugs. That was the plugs. Also, a thumbs up. If all you got in you is a thumbs up, hook a brother up. It helps with the algorithms. It'll bring more people to the fold, bring more people to the party. It'll make these live streams more fun when there's more people here. Especially when the trolls start showing up and we can kick them out, treat them like garbage, all that. Let's have fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Shout outs to the channel members, Angels in Our Midst, Alex and Analog, JS, Jared Smith, and Blue Sky are all awesome channel members. We don't got no high rollers yet, but if you want to become a member of this channel and participate in the members only live stream on Sundays and the members only Discord chat server where you can hang out with everybody else, all 6 of us, off hours, whenever you feel like sharing something, whatever, check that out. And that's the plugs. All 4 of you who are in the, and this is for the replay at this point. Maybe I'll touch on it towards the end of the thing, or if we get a ton of people to show up. I don't know. I got to be better at it. I'm going to do better at that. I'm just doing it because I like doing this. So I don't care, but it would be nice. Like, who wants to work for a living? If I could make a YouTube channel that takes off and pays the bills, why go to a job? Isn't that our goal in life, is to just, not have to work? There's a lot of people out there who've done a lot of stupid things to make millions of dollars. What about that cat? What about, don't you get mad when you see that there was a grumpy cat, just a grumpy looking cat, who made millions of dollars on Facebook just for being a grumpy cat? Seriously, that cat was living in a mansion eating filet mignon while the rest of us are so broke that we're working at Walmart, not even making enough money to afford cat food to eat. So if a cat can make millions of dollars just by being a grumpy ass cat, there's no excuse for any of us not to make it in this world. I'm sorry. Then there's a dude on YouTube. There's a little kid on YouTube. I think his name is Ryan's World or something like that. This kid makes $30 million. He was an 8-year-old kid who makes $30 million a year on YouTube to play with toys. Just so he has videos playing with toys. And he makes $30 million a year to play with toys. So if y'all think that I'm an idiot for not wanting to work and just find my golden ticket, go talk to the 8-year-old boy who makes $30 million a year to play with toys on YouTube, and tell me my goals are, unreachable. So anyway, that's the plugs. All small talk. I got some small talk while we're waiting for people to show up. Cat. I had a stray cat pop up about, I would say, like almost a month ago. And this cat just started wandering around my property. And eventually, he was kind of timid, but eventually I got him to let me pet him. And this one night, I gave him a couple of pieces of ham when he was hanging out at my doorstep. And that was pretty much it. Once I gave him a couple pieces of ham, this cat is hanging out in front of my place all day long now. And not only did that entice this cat to hang out on my property more, that turned into 4. All of a sudden, 3 more cats showed up. Like, they all talked to each other. They're like, this guy's got the good stuff. Come on. So now there's 4 cats. And roaming around the property, I see them every day. And it got to the point now where I go out, and I've only fed them a couple of times, a few pieces of ham, scraps, whatever nothing crazy. But now whenever I go outside, they swarm on me. I'm like the Pied Piper of cats now. And like I said, I've gave them a couple treats a couple of times. I'm not turning the doorstep of my house into the kitty welfare office, handing them an EBT card with 10 grand on it every month so that they can just sit around and eat for free all week long. These cats have got a job to do. I figure if a couple of stray cats are roaming around my property, I'm never going to see a mouse, rats, snakes, any of that stuff. But because I gave them a couple of treats here and there, it got to the point where they're sitting at my front door all day long, meowing at me for hours on end for me and then I open up the door to go somewhere and they're just like there, herded around the front door, just waiting for another handout. And so yesterday, I had to go to the grocery store. And as usual, the cats swarm around me. And now all 4 of them let me pet them. They're friendly, like this and that and the other thing. But they're looking for a handout. They're all just like looking at me like just waiting to see if a ham's going to drop out of my hand. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the grocery store. And I'm like, I'll get a little bag of cat food or something. That way I can set out a bowl here and there. Just, once a week or whatever, just enough to keep them around, but not enough to let them think that they're getting fed every day. Like you got to go eat mice. You got to go out and you got to keep the property clean of anything that I don't want to see when I don't want to see a mouse in my house. You know what I'm saying? So I get back from the grocery store an hour later. Like when I was on my way out to the car to go to the grocery store, these cats are following me to the car. And they're making it hard for me to get out of the driveway because I'm like, come on, get out of the way, Anyway, and this has been happening for a month. So I'm at the grocery store for like an hour. And I get home and I put some food in a bowl, but the cats aren't anywhere to be found. And I'm like, it was dark outside, so I didn't think much about it. I just figured when they're at my doorstep tomorrow morning, meowing all morning, I'll set out some food, make some friends, let them eat. But then you're on your own for, it's the first of the month. Grab your checks and come on. But by the 5th of the month, you got to get a job. You got to go out and figure it out. So today, the very next day, the whole day has come and gone. It's about 24 hours since I got back from the grocery store, and I haven't seen any of these cats. I have a bowl sitting on my counter with a lid on it, so it doesn't stink up. It's dry food, but so I don't smell. It's just a little bowl of dry cat food sitting there waiting for these cats. I haven't seen them all day. First time in a month I haven't seen these cats, and I don't want to put it outside unless I see them roaming around. And if I do see them and I go outside, they're coming right up to me anyway. So, but it appears that in the 1 hour I was gone to the grocery store, I was gone for an hour. All 4 of these cats have since vanished. And I can speculate as to what might have happened, but who knows, man? Who knows? I have no idea what happened to these cats. I can say that in the last 2-3 weeks, there hasn't been a day where I didn't see these cats. And now all of a sudden, I go to the grocery store, I get some cat food, I come home, gone. They don't seem totally, completely feral, but they were definitely living outside. I mean, they've been on my property for a month, outside, all day and night. But what I don't get is like how they vanished in 1 hour. I was gone. I came back from the grocery store expecting them to swarm on me when I got out of my car. Nothing. And I went out to get the mail today. I went outside a few times for this and that just to see because it was warm today. Just wanted to go outside for a minute and no cats. They're gone. And I'm like, did all these cats somehow starve to death just 1 hour before I came home with a bowl of food? I don't know. I mean, did one of the neighbors on this property put them all up for grabs on Facebook and get someone to come over and pick them up? Did someone take them into their house? Or did someone take them out? I don't know. My grandfather used to kill stray cats on our property in all kinds of crazy ways when I was a kid, man. He would put out these little bear traps to catch them. Everything you could possibly imagine. Fucking shotguns, 22s, pistols. He fucking did not want these cats on his property. And we had a big-ass barn. I grew up on a farm of sorts when I was a kid. And at my grandparents' house, until my parents built a house on his land. My grandfather had like 500 acres of land. And he parceled it out to all of his kids. And now my grandfather bought 500 acres of land and a farmhouse for like $4,000. I'm not kidding. That's a story for another video. But he did not like these cats. But because I lived on a farm, people would drive by all the time and just toss cats out their car window. That's a normal thing when you live on a farm. Anybody, if you're watching this video, if you live on a farm, you know what I'm talking about. This happens all the time. All of my friends that lived on farms when I was growing up, horse farms, cow farms, whatever, people just drive by your house and toss cats out that they don't want out the window as they drive by. Boom, you got a new cat for your barn. And most farmers don't mind it because, cats roaming around your barn will keep mice from getting into your animal feed. They'll chase away anything that you don't want in your barn. And all you got to do is feed the cats. And you've got, they have a benefit. So, but my grandfather, we didn't use the barn anymore. It was an old dilapidated barn that eventually collapsed during a snowstorm. And my grandfather rented out all the farmland to other farmers, and he would just sit back and collect a check from other farmers who were using the land to farm. And so he just, that was the easy way out. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to see these cats again. I have no idea what happened to them. I wonder if I'm just going to sit around wondering what happened to them, or I'm not really going to go asking around, but maybe the landlord knows something and somebody will say something at some point about it. But I don't know. There are a number of Spanish-speaking individuals that live here. And I don't know if that means anything, but 4 cats just up and vanished in the span of an hour who were here for a month roaming around. I see them every single day. And then poof, gone. So I don't know. I have no idea. I got food for them if they come back. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I mean, I got the cheapest bag of cat food money could buy because that's where I'm at. I had $50 to spend on groceries. You can't even fill one of these carry baskets. You go to the grocery store, you got 3 options: big shopping cart, little shopping cart, and the little basket with the 2 handles that you can carry. I used to be able to fill the big shopping cart for $100, overflow it with groceries. Now I can't even fill the carry basket with the 2 handles that you carry around. I can't even fill one of those for $100 now. And I had a budget of $50 yesterday for the groceries. That was like bare minimum. That was like to get me through 5 to 7 days. I can't even keep a month's worth of groceries in my house anymore because I don't have $1,000 a month to spend on groceries. I don't even know how the fuck anybody's doing it. Donald Trump posts a fucking tweet today saying Thanksgiving's going to be so much cheaper than last year. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Yeah, if you're a billionaire, you can do Thanksgiving. But the rest of us, like I said, I used to be able to fill a shopping cart, the big one. For $100, I could make that thing overflow. Now I can't even fill the little basket for $100. I had like 5 things in the basket. It was $60. My budget was $50, and I had to spend $60 just to survive for another week. Like, get out of here, Donald Trump. Fuck off. So sick of him. No, Thanksgiving's not going to be. A steak is like $40 now for a fucking steak. I used to be able to buy a whole beef tenderloin for $40 that I could cut 20 filet mignons off of. Back in 2020, I could do that. Now I can't even buy one steak for that much. Get the fuck out of here, Donald Trump. Just get out of here with your bullshit. Do something. Stop tweeting about it and do it. That's all I got to say about him. So, let me get off being angry and let's talk about Jesus for a minute. Yeah, that'll help. That'll help change the tone. So yesterday, I've been reading Jesus Calling. I tend, as usual, I tend to talk to God more when I'm either worried about something or I'm angry about something. But, I try to remember to have these conversations when things are going well. And I do. It's not like it's not like he just disappears when things, I've got it, I'm good, I don't need to talk to you anymore. But sometimes I'll just be dealing with something frustrating and I'll be like, wonder what's in that book. And so yesterday I picked up the Jesus Calling book, and it was November 5th, and read it to you. It said, you can live as close to me as you choose. I set up no barriers between us. Neither do I tear down barriers that you erect. People tend to think their circumstances determine the quality of their lives. So they pour their energy into trying to control their situations. They feel happy when things are going well and sad or frustrated when things don't turn out as they'd hoped. They rarely question that correlation between their circumstances and their feelings. Yet it is possible to be content in any and every situation. Put more energy into trusting me and enjoying my presence. Don't let your well-being depend on your circumstances. Instead, connect your joy to my precious promises. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will meet all your needs according to my glorious riches. Nothing in all creation will be able to separate you from my love. And so let me shrink that down just a little bit. See, of course not. Just so it all fits on. Okay, there we go. And so anyway, my take on this yesterday. I was in a little bit of a mood this week, yesterday and today. I had a conversation yesterday that didn't go the way I wanted. And And so, yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday started off kind of bad. Today wasn't that great. In fact, Wednesday started out with my glass top stove. I was putting something in the oven, and I had a plastic plate on top of the stove, and somehow the knob for the stove top got bumped and turned on, and that plastic, before I knew what was happening, the plastic plate melted into the stove top, and that was a mess to clean up. I cleaned it. It's good. We're good. But that was how my day started yesterday, and so I was already mad. And there were some other things, and then I had to spend yesterday. If you've been following the channel, you know I got to fill out this stupid probation report every month, and I have until the 5th of the month to do it. And when I find that when the 1st of the month falls on like a Friday or a Saturday, the report doesn't get turned in until the 5th, and I'm right up against the wall at the last minute trying to get this done. And it has to be done by the 5th. I could get caught up into going to court and all kinds of bullshit I don't need in my life if I don't fill this thing out. If the website is broken, which it very well may be because it's an antiquated piece of trash, exactly what you would expect from the government. But if the website itself is broken and I tell the probation officer, he'll be okay with it. But I just can't blow this off and just say I'm not doing it. That would be very bad. So, in this Jesus calling right here, people tend to think their circumstances determine the quality of their lives. And it says they feel happy. They feel happy when things are going well and sad or frustrated when things don't turn out as they'd hoped. Yet it is possible to be content in every and any situation. So don't let your well-being depend on your circumstances, is what this is telling you. And so, imagine taking that advice while you're sitting in federal prison for 2 years over a mean tweet. You know what I mean? Imagine how hard that might be to live like that and to try and be in that frame of mind when you're in that situation. And I could say that sometimes I could get there. Sometimes I could be in that place of being content. Sometimes the days would go by fast and I would have plenty to keep me occupied while I was rotting away in that hellhole. I mean, there's not really much you can do in a place like that, and it's designed to be torture, plain and simple. And a lot of that, and a lot of Republicans love that. In fact, I've said more than once that since I came home from prison, even though I was branded a MAGA guy, a Trump supporter who got what he deserved, the MAGA people, the Republicans, have been way worse to me than the Democrats since I came home. If we're just going to talk in generalities, I've had a lot more Republicans dump on me and treat me like garbage because of what I did or what of this situation than Democrats. I've had a lot more Democrats tell me that I didn't deserve what happened to me than the MAGA crowd and the Republican crowd. So I hate both of you. I hate the Republicans and the Democrats, and I've always been like this. But you're never going to hear, if you only hear me talk for a little bit and I'm ragging on one side and not the other today, you might think I'm on one team or the other. But if you listen to me talk long enough, you'll find out pretty quick that I can't stand any of them. I can't. There's 4 types of people in politics. You've got Republicans, Democrats, ignorant people who just don't care and don't know anything about politics, and people who are wide awake and know that both of these parties are trash. These 2 are the ones I get along with. The ignorant ones who don't know anything and don't care, and the ones that are awake enough to know that these 2 parties are garbage. The people who cling to one of these, I can't stand them. I never get along with them. So right now, we got Republicans. They are freaking thrilled that poor people aren't getting their food stamps anymore. And I saw a whole bunch of posts in the last week that Republicans are outraged that Puff Daddy can order eggplant parmesan on the prison commissary now. And I'm like, first of all, you dumb shits. As usual, you don't have any fucking idea what you're talking about. And as usual, you Republicans are worried about the wrong shit. First of all, the amount of money that you contribute in the span of a year so that poor people can get food stamps is about $25 a year. But look at your tax bill. You might have spent $20,000, $30,000 on income tax last year. $25 of that went to the food stamps. The other $29,975 that you paid went to bullshit like studying the mating habits of transgender squirrels in Siberia and crap like that, and payoffs and money laundering and Nancy Pelosi's new mansion and all kinds of crazy shit. But you're going to get all mad about food stamps and cling to that one. So it's just like, you're worried about the wrong shit. And that's all I'm going to say, because I got way more things than that to talk about today. It's like, okay, it's Thursday. How many rigged elections did you see the other day? We got New York City. We got a Muslim terrorist who beat a serial rapist and a mob boss to become the mayor of New York City. Like, what? I mean, there are all these Republicans bragging about, I'm going to go to the polls and stop the Democrats from taking over Pennsylvania. And then all the Democrats won in Pennsylvania, dumb motherfuckers. Like, and then you wonder why I'm never going to vote again. And you call me the asshole. How about the vote riggers? The people that rigged the system so that your vote doesn't count. You do realize all those votes were counted like 6 months ago and put in the system. They just tell you who they picked Tuesday. That shit was decided months ago. If you can't figure that out by now, I don't know what to tell you. That's why I'm just like, it doesn't surprise me that all Donald Trump does is bitch about everything on Twitter or his own social media platform, but he doesn't actually do anything. Haven't seen any of those deep state people get arrested. Oh, Jeffrey Epstein supposedly trafficked children to nobody. You know what I mean? Like, we're done. We're done with that. So anyway, yeah, my negative attitude was threefold this week. I think part of it's the time change. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Having to change the clocks again. We got 8 people in the chat. Throw a thumbs up if you like having to change your clock twice a year for no fucking reason. Have you ever met somebody who wants to have to change the clock twice a year? I've never met anybody in my entire life, not once, ever, who thinks that this is a good idea. But we keep doing it. I've never met anybody. I've never heard a politician say that flipping the clocks around twice a year is a good idea and we should keep doing it. And, the only argument that I'll ever hear is whether to go to regular time permanently or go to daylight savings time and then just leave it alone forever and always be on daylight savings time where the sun sets an hour later. That's my preference. Most of us would prefer seeing the sun set an hour later instead of all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock in the evening and it's dark. Like, nobody likes that. I would rather drive to work in the morning in the dark and see the sun on my way home than drive home, like leave the office at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it's already dark. That's so depressing and miserable. But this is what they do to us. They do this on purpose. I have never in my lifetime found one single person, not one, who wants this. But you'll never see it change for the rest of your life, my lifetime, my kids' lifetime, because politicians, they just sit around and bitch about it, but they don't do anything. No politician's ever going to do anything unless it puts money in their pocket and it fucks the rest of us. Those are the two things that need to take place before a politician will act. Does it put money in his or her pocket? And does it screw the rest of us? If both of those answers are yes, then they will do it tomorrow. Otherwise, not going to happen. So the clock change. So we got the clock change. We got a bunch of rigged elections and election fraud that I just sit back and laugh at because I got nothing to do with it. I'm never voting again. I don't care. Faster this company or the faster this country burns to the ground, the better, in my opinion. Don't rip the Band-Aid off slow. Pull that thing off. Waking up Wednesday to a sink piled up with dishes and a stove that melted the plastic dish that I accidentally set on a hot burner. And then I had a meeting on Tuesday and today. I'm constantly getting direction changes on what I'm supposed to do for a client. And I get paid by the hour, but it's hard to deal with. If I feel like nothing's getting done. And there's a lot of half-done projects that I get into this attitude like it's never going to get done because you get halfway to the finish line, 3/4 to the finish line, and then stop what you're doing and go do this other thing. Stop what you're doing and go do this other thing. And, I really like working with this client. But I even have the same problem myself, especially before I was arrested. I would start something, get halfway done, put it aside, go do something else. And so I always had unfinished projects everywhere in my life. And I think a lot of people have that problem. So this isn't like unique. I was just frustrated by it because I'm trying to get something done and it just gets frustrating. And so that happened again this week. I'm pushing through certain things, but it's like I'm fighting to get it done. And I just got irritated about it for a couple of days today. I mean, that's probably 3 days of being irritated about this now. And so in some ways it's good for me, and in some ways it's not. I had things thrown at me that forced me to go and relearn some things that I haven't had to do in a long time. And so that was beneficial for me in a way. Let's see, you close this out for a minute. And I don't know, but I'm helping out with a couple of books that are being written. And the reason why I bring that up is one of the main themes of the books that I'm helping to write are almost word for word what I just read to you today in the Jesus Calling book. And so I'm going to read it to you word for word. Here's the Jesus Calling quote, word for word, what I just read to you guys. People tend to think their circumstances determine the quality of their lives, so they pour their energy into trying to control their situations. They feel happy when things are going well and sad or frustrated when things don't turn out as they'd hoped. They rarely question that correlation between their circumstances and feelings, yet it is possible to be content in any and every situation. And so here's the book that I'm helping edit, designing a cover for, and doing a lot of stuff with, word for word. There's a freedom of choice. Life happens, life just happens is a false statement. People do not simply have life happen to them. Instead, life is the product of conscious choices. Being mindful, you can choose compassion and love over fear and discover the path forward, a more meaningful, happier life. And so this entry from Jesus Calling and the book that I'm helping to edit and I'm digging deep into and reading every day and working on every day, in spite of wanting to do other things, is like a word for word match. So today, I'm kind of in the same boat today. And so once again, I picked up Jesus Calling at some point, and I decided to read it today. And so that was today's entry says, seek to please me above all else. As you journey through today, there will be many choice points along your way. Most of the day's decisions will be small ones you have to make quickly. You need some rule of thumb to help you make good choices. Many people's decisions are a combination of their habitual responses and their desire to please themselves or others. This is not my way for you. Strive to please me in everything, not just in major decisions. This is possible only to the extent that you're living in close communion with me. When my presence is your deepest delight, you know almost instinctively what will please me. A quick glance at me is all you need to make the right choice. Delight in yourself, in me, more and more. Seek my pleasure in all you do. And so that was Jesus Calling today. And I'm just going to read you an excerpt from the book that I'm editing at the same time I'm reading this. The book text says, knowing that we have a choice is consciousness. We have the freedom to choose love and create movement through compassion, kindness, and forgiveness, which creates unity. Or we can choose fear to create movement through shame, guilt, lack, limitation, resulting in a separation from love. The discomfort, pain, and suffering from fear should motivate us to return to love. By choosing the path of love, we can achieve peace and harmony both within ourselves and with others. This misconception leads to the false premise that life just happens to us, rather than being actively created by conscious choice. Believing fear is an uncontrollable response immobilizes us, making us passive victims of our emotions. And so back to what Jesus Calling was saying today. Many people's decisions, where does it say this? That was what it was saying yesterday. Many people's decisions are a combination of their habitual responses and their desire to please themselves or others. And so I got a couple of things that go along with this today. I mean, it lines right up. It literally lines up with the book that I'm helping to edit. There's 2 other editors working along with an author on this book. So there's 4 of us involved. And then I'm also doing graphic design and other stuff with it. I had to deal with my client who was having a little bit of a panic attack today. And it was like, I didn't want to wake up to that, but that's what I woke up to. And we talked for a while, and I could have chose to come from this place of anger and frustration and all this and that and the other thing. But instead, I just chose to listen to him. At some point, I had to be like, all right, stop. Listen to me for a minute. And I kind of had to be a little bit firm at some point, and I just had to walk him through some stuff. But out of a place of, I care about, what you're going through and what we're trying to do here. And at some point during the conversation, he goes, dude, he's like, thank you, Adam. You made me feel so much better about this. I was feeling really wrecked. I got all these things going on. I'm overwhelmed. Who isn't? Especially these. I'm suffering from. I told him, I'm like, I'm suffering from the same thing. I got to fix my car. I don't know where the money's coming from. This job is part of that, but I've also got other sources of income. But I'm like, I have all these things piled up that are frustrating me. And so I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed and feel like you can't get anything done. I've been dealing with this for months, if not since the day I came home from prison. And, I'm not alone. All of us are going through that to some extent, especially nowadays. Especially when you go to the grocery store and you used to be able to get a cart for $100 and fill that cart to the top. And now you can't even fill the little basket for $100. buy like 4 things and it's $80. And you're like, what the hell? You can't even get ramen noodles anymore without going broke, let alone anything healthy. Oh my God, if you want to eat something healthy, you got to be rich. So yeah, we're all freaking out right now. And I mean, I could talk about this for the next 2 hours. But Jesus calling. So once again, many people's decisions are a combination of their habitual responses and their desire to please themselves or others. So I have a habitual response to always expect the worst in any situation. Let's see. I'm just going to take a minute, look at who's in the chat. We got Alex and Analog, channel member, Blue Sky, JS, all the homies are in the house. Jackie McGuinn, what's up? Late to the party. You can watch the replay. And or you can read, I think it keeps a transcript. I don't even know. And then we got Andrew B up in here. Hi, everybody. Andy from England here. Be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful about the memes you post. You know, I know that if you're a Muslim and you rape a woman in England, you get community service. But if you post a meme and complain about it, isn't that like 10 years in prison? I don't know. But anyway, once again, that's just an example of me expecting the worst in any situation. That's just who I am. That's a habitual response. And so along the lines of what I'm working on with this guy, and helping him do what he wants to do with his life. The Bible and that documentary, The Secret, and all this new age mumbo jumbo, they all share something in common, and that is the belief that we can all materialize things into our world just by focusing on them. You know, Jesus said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could look at a mountain and say, move it, and the mountain will move. You could toss a mountain into the sea if you just believe that you can do it. You know, and one of the themes of this book I'm helping with is what you think about, you bring about. And I literally materialized the FBI driving a fucking tank into my living room. Back in 2020, I mean, this believe me, I've thought about this quite often from the day it happened. But back in 2020, you know, when all the stuff was going down and we were all getting ready for civil war, basically, especially in my neighborhood out in Amish country, out in the country, you never heard more gunshots outside during the day and even into the night. Just people practicing and sighting in their rifles than you heard in 2020. It was nonstop. It sounded like a war zone out in the country because everybody was getting their guns ready. That wasn't normal. People do shoot in their backyards. I would do it. I prefer to go to the shooting range, but I could shoot in my backyard. And everybody around me, I mean, that's all you heard from close and far, almost 24 hours a day. So I wasn't the only one thinking, this is it. This is it. They're starting to go. They're going to go door to door and start taking people to the camps next. And we were all getting ready for that. So in 2020, I kept preparing as if that was going to happen. And I'm visualizing this. I'm visualizing the FBI showing up to my house in a tank and the camo and the M16s and the whole thing. I'm like, what are you going to do and how are you going to prepare for this? Which you can't. But this visualization kept happening over and over. You know, I could close my eyes and picture it happening in great detail. And I didn't dwell on this every day. I wasn't obsessed with this every day, but this was a regular occurring thought. And then 2 years later in 2022, it materialized right in front of me exactly how it appeared in my visions. I materialized this shit just by believing it was going to happen. And I've got other examples where good things have happened in my life just because I believed they would happen. to such an extent that they just did happen. I've seen this happen in my own life for good and bad over and over and over again throughout my life. But I do have this tendency to always expect the worst in just about any situation. I'm always prepared for fight or flight whenever the smallest thing, the smallest situation, I automatically react like I got to buckle down and get ready to go until I tell myself that it's not real. It's a bunch of BS. This is just something you do. You have to like consciously bring it to the surface and recognize it for what it is and that it's not real. And that's the first step in getting it to go away or putting it down, putting it to bed. You can't just run away from it, pretend it's not there. You just have to confront it head on and say, this isn't, your fears are unfounded. They're not based in reality. But if you do focus on them, they will become reality. Just like I focused on the FBI showing up at my house, and then all it took was a mean tweet for the tank to show up in my fucking living room. And it wasn't like I wanted that to happen, but I visualized it so clearly that I literally materialized that like a freaking, just like Jesus saying you can pick up a mountain and toss it into the sea. I grabbed a tank from the FBI and brought it into my living room. The same thing. There's a concept, and if you're a mountain biker, if anybody who's into mountain biking, there's a concept of when you're out on a mountain bike trail, look where you want to go. Don't look where you don't want to go. That's like the number one rule. And I mean, when you're looking at these dudes bombing down a mountain with a Red Bull helmet, in a YouTube video, that's what they're doing. It's a similar concept. If you're on a dangerous trail where a deviation from the main line of the trail will cause you to get seriously injured or maybe even die, you don't even look where you don't want to go. You just focus on where you need to go. That's it. You don't even look at the other stuff. Your body, your mind, your subconscious mind, if you're a seasoned biker, your instincts at a subconscious level will put you in the right place at the right time and steer you where you need to be. I have countless examples of this where I've gotten out of serious jams simply by focusing in the fact going, whoa, like, whoa, that was close. But like, for example, there's a trail in the Letchworth Gorge in Western New York on the opposite side of the gorge from the state park. And so it's kind of a free-for-all. There's no park rangers. This is like, you can go have fun on that side of the gorge. The other side of the gorge is a state park and, rangers. You get too close to the edge of the gorge, a ranger might just pop up out of nowhere and be like, get down from there, Not on the other side of the gorge. That's a free-for-all. No handrails, no safety fence, nothing. It's fun. It's the fun side of the gorge. Most people don't go to the other side of the gorge. For that, because it's not where, it's not the easy side to get to, I guess. I don't know how to explain it any better, but there's a trail on that side of the gorge. And there's parts of that trail. It's a single track trail. It's a hiking trail. It's called it's part of the Finger Lakes trail system. And this trail will snake right up to the edge of that gorge. You'd be 2 to 3 feet away from the edge of a 300-foot drop on this skinny little trail covered in tree roots and anything. I mean, it can, if you're not ready for that, you could freak out. You're 2 feet from, you're going like 20 miles an hour, 2 feet from the edge of a 300-foot drop to your death. Just looking right up. And if you look that way, that's the trick. You don't even look at, the scenery's nice, the view is nice, but when you're doing it, don't pay any attention to that. You look at the trail, you just pretend that's not there. You want to take a break, stop, check out the view, look over the edge, all that's fine. But don't let, I mean, if it's muddy out and slippery, like, you got to watch your line. You got to make sure, like, the whole trail isn't like that, but there's times where it just winds out and it goes right up to the edge of the gorge and then comes back into the trees and goes back out, and it's slippery and winding around and all that stuff. And the key is to not look over the edge of the gorge. Look at the trail. Look where you want to go. Look where you want your front wheel to go. Someone who's not used to mountain biking, I wouldn't, that's not the trail that you go learn on. But someone who gets scared might go right off the edge because they're looking over the edge. And you're going to tend to go where you're looking. So if you're all freaked out and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, boom, you're going to go right off. And that's it. Game over. That's the end of your days. You're not. It would take them like a week to get your body out of there. Like, if you go over the edge there, like, I could see it taking days to get you out of there. Like, they're going to have, like, they're just going to get the body at that point to get it out of the river. But they're not. You're not getting rescued. That's the end of your. That's your last day. But back to the Jesus calling thing. It matched up with what I'm going through this week, and so I was frustrated today, yesterday, Tuesday. But the fact that these Jesus calling entries are like almost word for word match to the book I'm working on, it was a sign for me that I'm just keep on keeping on. And I remember being frustrated on Tuesday evening. I was burned out from the day around 8 p.m. I had nothing else left to give. I had no energy left. And I asked God specifically to help me. And I said, God, make it clear. Please make it crystal clear if I am doing the wrong thing. If I'm not supposed to be working on this project, if I should just throw in the towel, shift gears, go in another direction, do something else, whatever it is. I just said, make it clear if I'm doing the wrong thing. Make it obvious. Make it so that this is how I ask God, because I'm dumb. Subtlety doesn't work very well with me. He has to make it clear so that I know, like, that there's no way I can doubt what it is. So I asked for this on Tuesday night. I'm like, make it clear. Don't be ambiguous. Speak to me in the way that you usually do so that I know the answer to this question. Should I keep doing this? Is this the right thing for me to be working on? Am I on the right path that you want me to be on? And then the next day, yesterday and today, the devotional that I'm reading matches word for word almost with the book that I'm helping this guy write. Even though the book that I'm helping him write is a little bit of like the new age mumbo jumbo and not so much religious book. It's not a Jesus book. But I feel like God's got a purpose for me to be involved in this, especially when all this stuff matches up like that. Not just once, 2 days in a row, it just matches right up. Word for word for word. Like the phrases, the messages in both of those entries, and the parts of the book that I'm working on, those days are just in alignment. And I'm like, okay, that's a good enough sign for me to know that that's not just a coincidence. And, I materialized, JS just says, most of your prayers materialized as well. Prayer is powerful even if he answers in mysterious ways. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Or, 1 or 2 live streams ago, I was talking about the streak of good luck I'm having. I won a $500 camera from a contest where they picked me and 9 other people to win it out of 270,000 people that entered. I got picked to be part of this Amazon Vine thing, getting all kinds of free stuff from them in exchange for doing reviews. I don't know if that's going to last. I'm a little bit behind on my reviews. And I fell behind because I didn't know certain things about what I was supposed to do. So I don't know. That might disappear. I don't know. one way or another, I'll figure it out. But then the third thing was getting that check in the mail that allowed me to buy a car. And then there was one other thing, and I can't even remember what it was now, but there was another thing that was pretty big. Oh, the YouTube bonus. Getting this bonus from YouTube for turning on channel memberships came out of nowhere. They got my channel shadow banned. I got 1,200 subscribers in 60 days on this channel. And now I've gone 16 months with 0 subscribers. 0. Not even one new subscriber in a span of 16 months. Not one, in spite of regular posts. There's other people who don't do anything different than what I'm doing. Like they do the live stream, talk to you guys, do like basic videos with no editing where they just talk. And they're getting tens of thousands of followers. And they hit 1,000 around the same time as me. But me, I'm like, they put the kibosh on my channel the second I started talking about COVID being a scam. That was what did it. They're like, fuck him, we're going to cut him off. And that's it. No new subscribers. So when they gave me a bonus for turning on channel memberships, and they put me in this boot camp program where there's other things to get from that and swag, and I have a personal rep at YouTube who tells me that I'm not shadow banned and she doesn't see anything wrong with my channel. And I'm like, get out of here. To not get even a terrible channel with nothing on it will get more than 1 subscriber in a span of 16 months. I've got 0 in 16 months when I had 1,200 show up in 60 days. Tell me that's not a shadow ban. Get out of here. So whatever. It is what it is. I mean, we all know what they do. So, but they invited me to this program. And I'm telling you, the people in this program are like, I'm surrounded by people in this boot camp with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And they turned on their channel memberships, and they've got, one guy was saying the other day he has 300 members paying like $2. So he's getting like 600 a month from his channel subscribers just for turning on, just for that. And this is, like I said, this guy has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm surrounded by these people in this boot camp, and they put me in that club, and they gave me a human being rep, like an agent or whatever you want to call it from you. So I don't understand. Like they shadow banned me. I just think they're messing with me. But whatever, I'll take your money. I'll take the money that they're throwing at me. Fine. Drop that in my bank account. It should be here by the 20th. I won't know until the 12th. So I just, the way that they are very slow to pay. If you owe money to YouTube, if you owe Google money, they're going to want that now. But if Google owes you money, you're going to wait 60 days to 90 days to get that. That's how they roll. So whatever. The trick with YouTube is to just generate a regular stream so that you can expect to get paid every month. And I'm not there yet. And I'm not doing this for the money, by the way. I've said that more than once. It would be nice if I could make my living sitting around bitching about the government all day like Alex Jones or something like that and didn't have to go to work. Sign me up. Like I just got done saying in the beginning of the show, there's an 8-year-old boy on YouTube who makes $30 million a year to play with toys. I think his name was Ryan's World. There's a grumpy cat that was all over Facebook, made millions of dollars, had his own grumpy cat cappuccino line of drinks. This cat's living in a mansion, eating filet mignon every day, while there's people who worked their whole life stuck working as a Walmart greeter, eating cat food when they go home because they can't afford food. So don't tell me that my goal in life is out of reach. A cat can be a multi-millionaire. So there's no excuse for any of us at that point. But anyway, so like I feel like God was trying to tell me something with the messaging there, lining up. So it actually made me feel better about what I was doing, and it got me through the last few days, and I accomplished a hell of a lot. I got this book rough draft done for this guy. The books aren't very long. They're like the manuscript in a Microsoft Word document's about 70 pages long. And he's got 2 different books. One's going to come out before the other. The one that I'm working on mostly this week is like the second book, and it's in rough draft stage. The other book is in like final edit stage. And I've already got a cover design for both. And there's a third book kind of playing around with. I got a rough cover design, that's it, and a title. But the book the book isn't even like, that's just a concept at this point. But these books are manageable for this client, like in terms of the length. A 70-page Word document will turn into 100 to 150 pages in a 4x5, paperback book format. So that, it is what it is. But I feel good that I feel like God told me that I'm on the right path. Just stick with it. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to see the results. You're going to see results from what you're doing in ways that you probably don't expect. Just stick it out and deal with the fact that we all have our ups and downs. But I don't have to be angry and miserable about it. I like that thing said. God was showing me that my frustration and irritation over a couple of days is because I'm pouring my energy into trying to control my situation, and I get frustrated when things don't go as planned. That's exactly what he said in that entry. But I don't have to be angry about it, and so I just go back and forth with this. I'm used to things not going according to plan in lots of different areas of life. I pretty much never expect things to go according to plan. But I do get irritated when they don't from time to time. It's just the way it is. It threw my rhythm off, especially Tuesday. Oh, my rhythm was completely thrown off the rails on Tuesday. Yesterday and today I got back on track and I got a lot done. And like I said, there's more going on than just general frustration with projects. We had to change our clocks. We watched a bunch of rigged elections. I went grocery shopping and can't even fill a little basket for less than $100 when I used to be able to fill a cart. All these things are adding up to just, I got a car that I need to get fixed and it's going to cost a lot of money and I got to wait until the money comes. And I'll talk about that some more. Oh yeah, the plane blew up and there's all kinds of weird stuff about that. Tinfoil hat talk. We could put it in the tinfoil. If you want to sign up for a channel membership, you can go to the Discord server and we've got a tinfoil hat section right there. We can put all the weird stuff about that plane crash, but it's not what I wanted to talk about today. And I haven't fact checked all the weird stuff to see if it's legit, but there's enough. Dick Cheney died, the plane crash, and the rigged elections. We elected a Muslim terrorist for mayor of New York City on the same day Dick Cheney died. I don't think that's a coincidence. And, it was either a Muslim terrorist, a serial rapist, or a mob boss to be the mayor of New York. How are you going to win that one? Why would you even go out and vote? Why would you leave your house and go vote for that? Why? Like, what? I got other things to do. I'd rather sit around and watch TV than waste my time going out to vote for that garbage. So, yeah. But the time change really got me. Oh, it takes me a month. Every time we change these stupid clocks, back and forth and back, spring forward and fall back, and this and that. I'm so sick of it. So sick of it. Nobody wants to do it. I have never met another human being in my entire life who wants to change the clocks twice a year. But here we are. We're doing it again. And it takes me a month. It takes me a whole month before I adjust to that and before I wake up not feeling like garbage anymore. Like it throws off my whole rhythm of life for about a month. It affects every one of us who have to go through this dumbass shit every year. Hate it. I hate that. I know Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time, but they just stick with regular time. I would rather be like, come spring, we'll spring forward or whatever it is that you do so that the sun goes down an hour later. And then leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't touch it again. But you keep the peasants on their toes, and you ruin their circadian rhythms, and you get them all out of whack. Then they're not going to bitch at you and riot when they can't afford a basket of food, because they're just completely brain dead and retarded from all the fluoride that they drink and everything else that they're doing to us. The chemtrails in the skies. Now they got a documentary about that on Amazon. But I guess it's still a tinfoil hat if you talk about it. Whatever, dude. Whatever. I'm done trying to wake people up. The way I look at it, I used to want to wake people up. Now I don't give a shit. I'm awake. I know what's going on. That's all I need to know. See, the way it works, there's a saying that says you don't need to be faster than the lion. You just have to be faster than the slowest zebra in the herd. So when the New World Order comes to round everybody up and take them to the camps, you don't got to be faster than the New World Order. You just got to be faster than the dumbest sheep in the herd that they're going to go after first. If you're awake, you're going to have plenty of time to get out to the woods or wherever the hell it is that you're going to get away from this shit. Because there's going to be plenty of sheep lining up for the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse isn't even going to be able to keep up with the line of sheep that are going in. So you're going to have time. If you're awake and you know what's going on, you're going to have plenty of warning, plenty of time to get to your whatever it is. I don't have any place to go. I mean, I can't even afford to keep more than like 2 weeks worth of food in my house. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Back in the day, before the FBI drove a tank into my house, I had a year's supply of food, a generator, 3 vehicles, 2 of them 4-wheel drive. I had mountain bikes, road bikes. Each of my kids had a bike. Everybody in my house had a bike. I mean, we were prepared. I had 13 guns and 20,000 rounds of ammunition, and we were constantly figuring out where our weaknesses were and shoring those up. But it was like a hobby. It was a pastime. It was for fun. Like, we need to start a garden. Oh, let's figure out how to start a garden. My house wasn't conducive to a garden, but we figured out a couple of ways that we could do a little something. And just constantly upping our game. But, we could talk about this time thing again. Like I said, it threw my rhythm off. It takes me a month to get back into it. And then they're just going to change the clock again, and I'm going to go through another month of being all disoriented and just be off balance for a while. Like the rest of us. We all go through it. Before I was arrested, I had a work from home situation where I could control everything about my schedule. I could work the hours I wanted to work. I had a lot of freedom. So my plan that year, 2022, was when the fall back came, I wasn't going to change my clock. I was going to keep following the same schedule that I've been following all year long, which would mean that I show up to work an hour early, but for me, it would be the same time, as if nothing skipped a beat. But for the people I work with, they're going to see my name pop up on Slack or whatever an hour before I normally get there, and then I'm going to go home for the day an hour early. I'll work 8 to 4 instead of 9 to 5 to them, but my clock is still going to say 9 to 5 or whatever time it was, daylight savings time. I can't even do the math on these stupid clocks. So I was going to do that. And the thing is, I ran a team of 5 people. There were 5 people on my team I was in charge of. One of them lived in Rochester, New York. One lived in Phoenix, Arizona. One was in Seattle. One was in Buffalo, New York. I was in Pittsburgh. And I worked with about 60 other people that were every time zone in America was covered. South America, I had people in Paris, France, Spain, Portugal, countries all over the world. There were people in India, in Singapore. We had like trying to coordinate a meeting where I could get 6 people in the room together at the same time. Can't even imagine what that was like because of all the different time zones and everything going on. So I could have done this. I could have just decided I'm no longer participating in fall back this year. I'm just going to set my clock to the time it's always been and live my life according to that. I would get out of work an hour early. I would continue to just live my life, wake up at the same time, go to work at the same time. Everybody else is going to think I changed my time, but for me, it's the exact same. Sun's in the same spot. When everybody else gets up and the sun goes down an hour early, nope, for me, the sun goes down at the same time. Yesterday and today, no difference, because my clock says this. There would have been some things like, stores close when they close. Stores would close an hour earlier. But my rhythm, when I wake up, when I go to bed, when I see the sunset, when I go to work, when I quit my job for the day, et cetera, that would be exactly the same. And my clocks would be exactly the same. Every clock, I would have changed my watches, my phone to all be in the time zone where it just doesn't skip a beat. That was my plan. But then I ended up getting thrown into federal prison for mean tweets. And it's a lot harder to live like that in prison because I don't control the clock on the wall. So when they set the clock back and then they set it forward and then they set it back and then they set it forward, I didn't get to pick that. I don't get to pick what time I wake up and go work in the prison kitchen making 70 cents an hour. It is what it was. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't do my plan didn't come to fruition there. And right now, where I'm at right now today, it's not worth trying that experiment because even at the bakery, I could have asked them to switch my schedule to be an hour earlier so that instead of working 8:30 to 4:30, I work 7:30 to 3:30, and then it would be the exact same time. Solar time would be the same time when I leave Monday that it was on Saturday, and it would feel all the same. But it's not worth it right now. Someday, though, I am going to put my foot down and be like, you know what? I'm not living the way you guys live. I'm setting my clock. I don't care what time it is where you live. Even if you're next door neighbors to me, we're going to be an hour apart. That's just how it's going to be because I'm done with this. I'm not going to live like that anymore. I talk to people in the Eastern time zone all the time. They're an hour ahead of me. For a while, they'll be 2 hours ahead of me, or we'll be at the same time. I don't even know how it works. That's how I can't even figure out what's what with this stupid shit. I have to actually think about it and diagram it out so it makes sense. I can't just do it. It's 1 hour off, but the whole thing is just stupid and it pisses me off, and I don't even want to care about it. I think it's one of the dumbest things that we do in our society, but there's a million other dumb things going on right now. So, it is what it is. So yeah, maybe in a couple of years, the sun will still set for me at 6:30 p.m. In the middle of December, where the rest of you, it'll go down at 5:30 p.m. But for me, it'll be 6:30. Even my ex was mad when I told her I was going to do this. And I just looked at her. I'm like, you have a daughter that lives in another time zone, an hour behind us, and you talk to her on the phone all the time. Does that hour difference have any effect on your relationship with your daughter? No. So why do you care if you have a boyfriend who lives an hour behind you, even though we could be in the same house? Like, who cares? And you could still send me a text. You know when I'm awake and when I'm not. So, and if I'm talking and I was responsible enough that if I'm talking to somebody else, when I'm talking to my client who lives an hour ahead of me, and I suggest a time for a meeting, I take into account what time it is for him, not what time it is for me. When I had 5 people that lived in 5 different time zones that I was the manager of, and I was talking to them, hey, can you show up for a meeting at such and such time? I would have to do, okay, you live in Arizona, so for you, that'll be noon, but for me, that'll be 2. And you in Seattle, that'll be 11 a.m. for you. And you people over there, that'll be 1 in the afternoon, and it'll be noon for me. And like, I could figure all that out and talk to people in their own time zone. So if I'm going to just live in my own time zone, Adams Standard Time, and that's it, it's locked, and I'm not participating in this nonsense anymore, when it's time to like meet somewhere, I will speak to you as if I'm in your time zone. So I'm not going to like say, meet me at the bar at 6 o'clock Adams Standard Time when it's 7 o'clock for you. I'll say, meet me at the bar at 7. But I know my watch will say 6 or 7 or whatever. 8? I don't even know. But whatever it is, I'll have it figured out. So I was talking about being annoyed yesterday that it was the 5th of the month. And I had to get my probation report done. I have to fill out this report, and I have to attach all my paycheck stubs, invoices. I have to make a PDF, a JPEG of every. It can't even be PDF files. It has to be JPEG images of my paycheck stubs, invoices, invoice payments. So I got to take pictures when I get checks in the mail and stuff like that. And I have to prove to them that I work 30 hours a week. I could go to prison if I don't work 30 hours a week. I have to give them every month. I have to give them all the information about my residence, my car, and all this other stuff over and over because their antiquated website won't save it from one month to the next. Heaven forbid. They have this thing called a database that saves what you put in it, so that when you come back next month, it's there. They don't have that. So whatever. It's what you get when you pay $6 billion to the government to build a computer system. So this antiquated website won't save it. So I have to do this. I have to give them my new phone number every month now, because every time I log in, it's got my old phone number. I say, no, this is my number now. It says, oh, okay. And then you come back next month, and it has the old phone number. I have to tell them how much I spend on rent, utilities, phone, transportation, groceries, and all these other categories. And really what it is so that they're trying to catch you going back to selling drugs or something like that, right? So if they see I've got paycheck stubs from working 30 hours a week at Burger King, making $7 an hour, and then they see that my rent payment is $2,500 a month, my utilities are another $500 a month, I've got a $700 a month car payment, and I spent $900 on groceries. And if I report that I'm driving around in a 2025 Mercedes G-Wagon and I don't have a car payment because I bought it outright, they're going to wonder, how exactly did this guy buy a $148,000 SUV while working at Burger King 30 hours a week? And I'm sure the IRS will be just as interested as probation officer when it comes to that. So now they're going to be knocking on your door, asking where all the money came from, searching your house, looking for your stash. How do you afford all this when you're working at Burger King? So you got to report this. I got to do this every fucking month. And when you get arrested by the feds, the first thing that the federal government does when they arrest you is they go after everything you own. They take an account of everything you own. Any money you have in a retirement account, bank accounts, all the money that you have in any way, shape, or form that you have it, all your assets, your home, your vehicles, everything you own, they take a complete accounting of it, and then they take it away from you up front, leaving you with nothing to fight your case with. And if they can't find that you have any money or assets, they'll appoint a public defender for you. But if you have any assets or anything that they can take, they take it away from you, and then they appoint a public defender and tell you that they confiscated all your assets to pay for the lawyer that they appointed for you. The only people I knew who had lawyers that they paid for were multimillionaire drug dealers who had money hidden away in places the government couldn't get it from them. I knew one guy who paid $3 million for his lawyer. The minimum is $100,000. If you get arrested by the federal government, to get a lawyer just to come to the jail and talk to you, it's $100,000. That's just for a lawyer to make like 2 phone calls trying to get a plea deal for you and to show up in court for a plea deal hearing. But if you're going to go, that's just the bare minimum. But when you get a public defender appointed to you, that public defender gets a $10,000 budget to fight your case when the prosecutor has a $20 trillion budget to pull from, and they can spend as much money as they want to prosecute you. And they take away all the money that you have, so you don't have a chance in hell of fighting your case. That's why they have a 98% conviction rate. It's part of the reason. So anyway, point is, it takes me about 10 minutes to fill out the form on their website after I log in. But it can take me hours to go through and prepare all of that stuff I told you about and everything that I need to know in order to fill that stuff out. I have to take all those paycheck stubs, invoices, checks. I have to save them as JPEG images, and they have to be a certain size and a certain format. And if you make any mistakes, the system won't take the image. So the steps I go through on probation report day, I got to make sure all my invoices are billed out. And then I have to have, like I said, the images of all the invoice payments, checks, electronic records, whatever, as a PDF. And then I've got to turn those into JPEGs. I got to save all my paycheck stubs from the bakery as a PDF, and then I got to turn those into JPEGs. And like I said, certain settings, I had to screw around with this for weeks to figure out how to get the damn things to upload to their website. I don't even know how, if you're not a computer expert like I am, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it because I'm an expert at this stuff and it was hard. Most of the people I would just like to put out there, most people coming home from federal prison don't have the skills on how to use computer graphics that I have. So I feel bad because I'm like, they got no chance in hell. I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it. The next thing I have to do, I have to reconcile all of my bank statements. And now that's good for personal reasons. I like to know where the money's coming from, how it's being spent, categorized, everything else. I would do that anyway. I do that anyway. But I can't do the probation report until I do it and it's all caught up. So I had to do it yesterday. If for some reason I've gone a few weeks without doing it, that's an all-day task. If I do it once a week, that's like an hour. Every week that I skip exponentially increases the time it takes. Just like laundry. If I do laundry once a week, it's like a couple of hours. If I wait a month to do laundry, that's like all day. That's not 6 hours or 8 hours. That's like 24 hours to do laundry. I got to figure out how many hours I worked per week for my freelance. I got to figure out the gross income from the bakery. I got to look at the gross income from the freelance. Then I got to calculate the software that I use for my accounting does this for me. That's why I do it. But all that stuff, I got to know how much I spent on rent, transportation, groceries, utilities, phone, everything else. Plus, I got to make sure that I have handy so I can copy and paste it all into their system. I got to have my address, my phone number, all the information about my car, the make, model, year, license plate number, purchase date, purchase price, VIN number, all this stuff about my car. I have to copy and paste into form fields so it's all sitting in a file. And all I do is go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, because I got to do it every single month. I copy and paste all that crap about my car. You come back a month later, you got to do it again because, heaven forbid, the government can't build a database. They can build a database when they want to spy on you and have everything about you stored somewhere. Every text message, phone call, email, titty picture you sent to your boyfriend, and every other thing that you've done on your phone or computer since 1992, they've got that in a database. But this database, no, they can't make a database for this. I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. So when I have all my information gathered and it's in a file, waiting, all I do is copy paste. I log into this antiquated website. I may have to change my password. That's a 5-minute process. You have to change your password like every 2 or 3 months. The password that you enter can't match any password you've ever used. But you might need your last password that you used before the new password. The whole thing's a mess. It's a mess. It's a shit show. Then I have to answer a bunch of random questions like, did you get questioned by law enforcement? Did you get arrested in the last month? Did you get any tickets in the last month? Did you use any illegal drugs in the last month? Were you in possession of a gun in the last month? Do you have another home that we don't know about? Do you have a post office box? Do you have a storage unit we don't know about? And all these other questions. There's like 30 of those questions. And then I have to copy and paste all the information I told you from, gathering all that crap all day. And then at the very end, I have to attach those documents, the JPEGs of all the paycheck stubs, invoices, payments received, and all that stuff. They want everything about your bank. They want to know every bank account you have. They want to know everything, anything that they can take from you or spy on you or look at you or just, you don't have any privacy at all. They probably, it's going to get to the point where I got to pull my pants down and take a picture of my dick, show them how long it is, put a little fucking ruler next to it. Like, that's like that. It's like that. But at the end of the day, the probation officer, he don't seem to be too worried about me. He's not up my ass. He occasionally checks in on me when he's required to. Twice this year. Both of those times I moved. And when you move, he has to come and look at my new place within like a month of me moving. So I've seen him twice this year. And so as of yesterday, I'll do the math because it's 1 day difference. I have 536 days of probation left as of right now. I've served 585 of that so far. So I'm more than halfway done. I was in custody in the form of jail or prison. I don't know how it worked out like this, but it was exactly 600 days from day 1 to day 600. And then I was homeless for 115 days. So I'm halfway done, but I also have to live out the same amount of time that I spent homeless more than 5 times before I can cross this shit off my list and be done with this probation nonsense and be actually free. And even when I'm actually free, I'm not free. Because I was just telling you about how for like the next 5 years, if I want to visit Florida, after probation is over and I'm free, if I want to go visit, not move to Florida, if I want to visit Florida, if I want to go hang out on the beach for 1 day, I want to go to Disney World, I have to go to the sheriff's office in the county where I'm visiting and register as a convicted felon and go through that whole shit I just told you, I'm going to have to fill out forms at the sheriff's office with all that stuff I just told you that I have to do every month. Have my mug shot taken, fingerprints done, just to go to fucking Disney World for a day. Basically, as if I was a child molester, if I want to visit Florida, just go visit Florida, I have to register as a convicted felon. So Florida, we're done. I'll never go to Florida again. I don't give a fuck about that shithole anyway. I think it sucks. I've only seen one place in Florida in my whole... I've been all over Florida. There's only one small area of Florida I would ever consider living in, and I really do hate that state. I think it sucks. It's a fucking dump. I've always thought that my whole life. I've been going there. I've been going there for years and years. Big fucking deal. I won't miss it. There's other beaches. Fine. Take my money somewhere else. But anyway, so I did all that crap with probation. I was actually done with it by noon yesterday. Because all this, I didn't really have to do much. It was all kind of like ready to go. And it felt good to be caught up on everything. And so money is really tight right now. Because I blew my wad when I bought my car. I bought a bunch of stuff to make my house more comfortable. And I just got to the point where I got really tight on funds. And then, of course, that's the day that my car chooses to die. And but doing all that stuff for probation yesterday also helped me. Because right now, today, if we're talking about today, money in the bank, I've got about half of what I need to cover my bills up to December 1st. And that includes next month's rent and budgeting $800 to get my car fixed, because that's what it might cost. It's not going to be a cheap repair. Another repair like that, fucking done with that car. But we'll see what happens. When I reconciled my bank accounts and I added up the unpaid invoices that are already in my client's hands, the money that I'm going to get from the bakery for the month, the money that I'm expecting to get from YouTube this month, and then the invoices that I plan on sending out before the end of the month, by the first of the month, all of that will add up to me being about $2,500 ahead of what I need. Or at least if it's not in my bank account, it will be in receivables, which means that the invoice has been sent out and it's a matter of days for me to get paid. So one way or another, I'll be up. Even after fixing the car, after paying next month's rent, and all the bills for November, I'll still have that much. Now, you can subtract money for groceries, going out to eat, gas for the car, random things that just come up that I don't, count as fixed expenses. So you could take 500, but I could still be 1,000-aire. At the end of the month, I am not 1,000-aire right now, but maybe at the end of the month, I might be 1,000-aire. Yet again, back on top. And I've got a little bit of a rhythm going right now that if I can keep it up, I can roll that over month to month and build up a little bit of a cushion. And there isn't anything I really need for the house. Like, I want to get a couch, a 2-seat couch, and a poof or a ottoman or a coffee table to put my feet up on. That's the only house expense that I'm looking to buy. And if the car decides to chill out and not cause me issues, if I can go 2 years without having to buy another car, that would be great. That's what I was hoping to get out of this car when I bought it. That shouldn't be 2 years. I'm only going to put like 10,000 miles a year on this car. So it shouldn't be like that out. I should be able to do it. But you never really know. This car is mechanically sound, but if it turns into an electronic lemon to where it's just short-circuiting all the time and it constantly needs electronics replaced, I'm going to have to peace out because I can't do it. But for now, just going to have to eat it and see what happens. But that's not happening until next week. I've got to limp around with this car until I can afford to go to the garage. That'll be next week. But I only have to drive 2 times, Saturday and Monday. And Saturday, if it's warm, I'm going to ride my bicycle. Monday, I'm just going to make the car start. And I'll drive it with no electronics on the dashboard if I have to. I'll do whatever I have to do to get to my job on Monday without having to ride my bike, because as soon as the temperature goes above 60 degrees, the electronic problem goes away and the car drives fine. So it's just the morning drive if it's cold. If I can go 5 months having a little bit extra at the end of each month and just save the money and roll it from 1 month to the next, I can build up money like I had when that check came falling out of the sky. And there's a million other ways this could go. I could go from being a thousandaire to a 10,000aire. Woo! I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like. Maybe someday. I honestly don't think I'll ever be a 100,000aire or a millionaire or anything. I don't know. I'm not thinking that far ahead right now. I have goals. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I don't think it's out of, if an 8-year-old boy can make $30 million a year to play with toys on YouTube, I may as well just kill myself if I can't figure out how to make a living doing something. If a cat can make $10 million a year being a grumpy cat on Facebook and have his own grumpy cappuccino line of coffee, and there's people making millions of dollars. There's people on YouTube right now that make $1 million a year to play video games. Like, I'll go get an Xbox and just plug in my Xbox to YouTube. You can all watch me play video games all day. I'll probably have 500,000 followers just to watch me play a fucking video game. Like, what am I doing? Why am I going to work? Why am I trying? I think I gotta step back a little bit and look at my options here and be like, the more retarded the idea, the more likely it is to take off in our retarded ass country right now. I gotta go full retard and just let it rip. That's my ticket. I don't think like that though. I try to be responsible and do the right thing and work hard and all that nonsense. And that don't get you anywhere in this world. Cheaters win. Cheaters win all the time. Don't believe me? Look at Lance Armstrong. Yeah, they took away his yellow jerseys, but his yellow jerseys are still hanging up on his wall. And yeah, the website for the Tour de France says nobody won for 7 years. But Lance Armstrong's still a multimillionaire. He has a mansion in Austin on a lake. He has a mansion in Colorado. He has $200 million in the bank. He's banging porn stars and models. He probably banged both of the Olsen twins. He might not have even known it. He was dating one of them, but maybe Mary Kate and Ashley got together and decided to trade one day to see if he'd notice, and maybe he didn't notice, and maybe he did bang them both. I don't know. Cheaters win. Cheaters win. Lance Armstrong is my hero. So I'm all for it. If that's what it takes, if I can win by doing something wrong, that would make up for me getting thrown in prison for 2 years over tweets. So I'm like, if I could cheat my way to the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, I don't care. Sign me up. Put a motor on my bike. Fill me full of drugs. I'll smoke whatever you got. Put a rope on the front of my bike and tow me up the mountain. I'll hold on to the car. What else can I do? I mean, give me a handful of thumbtacks, so that if I get in front of everybody, I can just go like that and put thumbtacks all over the road, watch everybody get flat tires, put a little bag of oil on the back of my bike so I can push a button like like that video game where you put oil slick on the road. I'll take a banana. Give me bananas to eat. I'll throw the banana peels out on the road. Watch people whoom, slide off. I don't care. You give me 30 different ways to cheat my way to the yellow jersey and the Tour de France. I'll sign up for every single one of them. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, and I'll get on Oprah's couch and I'll be like, yeah, I did it. What are you going to do about it? Come and take my mansion. Look at Lance Armstrong. He's still got his mansions. They didn't do anything to him. He had to like do the whole Hollywood I'm sorry routine for a few days. You know, oh, I'm so sorry. And then he goes back to his mansion on the lake and watches the sunset. And, you know, he had to be embarrassed. The worst thing that ever happened to him is he got to be embarrassed. Maybe it was embarrassing to go out in public because people are pointing and laughing. But people are pointing and laughing at a multimillionaire who has a mansion on the lake. Boo fucking who? Yeah, I'll sign up for that life. Every time. So, bicycling. I rode my bike. I actually rode my bike to the bakery last week. If you were here for the members only live stream on Sunday, I talked about that. I'm about 150 miles away from reaching. I just looked and saw that half of the people left the stream when I talked about how I would cheat to win in life. Bye. I'll still do it. You sign me up. If I could go back in time, if I could have raced my bike with Lance Armstrong and done all the things that he did to win some races and be a multimillionaire as a result, I would do it today. I would do it. Yeah, go ahead. I lost half of the viewers because I said I would do that. Okay, bye. Yeah. Talk to any of the politicians you voted for on Tuesday if they wouldn't cheat. That's the only reason they're in office right now is because they cheated and won a rigged election and were appointed to their position. And then when they're done, they're going to get paid off with a book deal. Kamala Harris got a book deal. Come on. That bitch couldn't even write a children's book and she got a book deal. You know what that means? That means for however long she was vice president, that's all her bribe money coming in a paycheck in a lump sum in a way that's legal to do. We'll give you a book deal. You don't even have to write the book. These politicians, they don't even write the book. Somebody else writes the book, and then they take a picture of themselves smiling or whatever, and they put their name on the front, and then nobody buys the book. And it's on. You can go buy it at Goodwill for 50 cents about 3 weeks after it goes on sale. So, I mean, yeah, Kamala Harris writing a book. The hell out of here. Let's see. Where am I? What else can I talk about? We got some time left. I'm gonna get off the stream tonight. I'm probably gonna. You know what would be funny? Alex and Analog says inflation might just make you a billionaire if America goes full Zimbabwe. A gallon of milk will cost 10 pounds of $5 bills if we go that route. Now think about it. What if you're in like some debt, 20 grand, 50 grand in debt? Maybe you owe student loans or whatever. I mean, we're all fucked. So what if inflation gets so bad that I could sell something basic, something that I don't even really need, like a loaf of bread. Let's say I could sell a loaf of bread for $5,000 and pay off $5,000 worth of debt with a loaf of bread. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, $5,000 will that, you know, the dollar menu at McDonald's is going to be the $500 menu. McDonald's, it's going to be $500 for a double cheeseburger. But there are opportunities there where if you racked up You racked up $100,000 worth of, you could pay off your house with a used bicycle. You know what I mean? If you still owe the bank $100,000 on your house and a loaf of bread costs $1,000, a used bicycle might go for $100,000. I could sell a beat up old Huffy, take that $100,000 to the bank and say, bam, house is paid. Give me that deed. Like modern problems, modern solutions. That's the way I'm looking at it. So it might not all be bad, but I mean, when those days come, we're not. I personally will probably have to rob and steal to eat because I don't know where I'm going to get. I can't keep enough. I don't have room in this place for enough food. And like I said, you go to the grocery store and you carry around a little basket and you can't even fill that, and it costs $100. I'm like, I don't got $1,000 a week to buy groceries to fill my. I don't even know where I'd put it. I'd have to get a storage unit and fill it full of ramen noodles and pasta and storable food and beans and canned food and whatnot because it won't fit in here. There is a storage unit down the street. I mean, maybe I could start my own little food pantry. I don't know. And just keep it on the down low. Forget to put it on my probation report every month that I have a storage unit because I pay cash or whatever. I don't know. Modern problems need modern solutions, but I don't know how. I mean, maybe I should go to Aldi's and see what their prices are. Like, I got to figure out how to stockpile some food so that because if that came next month, if they said, okay, we're done, economy's over, you peasants, whatever food you got, eat it while you got it because you ain't getting no more. I got like a week left. I got a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks of being able to eat like something to not die, and then I'm robbing and stealing from there because I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Or forage. I'm gonna go forage out in the woods. All the deer and the bears and all the animals will be gone in a month. If you think you're gonna hunt, if you think that you're going to hunt when all that shit happens, for about a month, then you'll never see a deer for the rest of your life after that month is over. You'll never see a deer. You'll never see a bear, a wild boar. There's wild boar all over the place here. Poof, gone. Shit's gone. It's over. Turkey's gone. You'll never see a turkey again. Any animal that's good to eat. You won't even see horses anymore. You won't see cows. You won't see any animals anymore. Like, that'll be a thing of the past. That'll be gone. They'll be gone fast. They won't even be able to make more to replace the ones that are gone. It's over. Although, I haven't seen any food stamp riots yet. It's been, 6 days since they shut it off? But like I said, if you watch the whole show today, I'm not one of these Republicans crying and dancing in the street. Yay, we shut off the food stamps. I don't agree with, I don't agree with a woman with 15 kids getting $6,000 a month in EBT with 7 baby daddies that don't take care of their kids, and she just lives off of food stamps and has a house full of food every month and never worked a fucking job since the first baby came. I don't support that. I don't believe in that. I don't want to see that happen. But I also lived on food stamps for 3-4 months before I could come to Texas and start getting off of that dole. And it saved my ass having that. And so I know about it. And no, it's not a free-for-all. And back when I was on the food stamps, that was before the Republicans got involved and took away the candy bars and and made it so that you can't buy it. You already couldn't buy anything with your food stamps. The reason why you can buy candy bars and junk food on food stamps before they took that away was because most of the people who live in the ghetto who are on food stamps, there's no fucking grocery store anywhere around. And when you're homeless, you can't just go buy fresh food. Like, oh yeah, like I'm homeless and I can just go buy a bunch of lettuce and fruit and greens and perishable food and milk. And where am I going to keep all that in my homeless camp? That's why they made it so. That's why New York State made it so that you could start using your food stamps in restaurants. Like you could go, I don't think McDonald's was on the list yet, but there was a convenience store I could go buy a pizza. There was another place I could go get a sub. The reason why is because when you're homeless and you're on food stamps, you don't have a fucking refrigerator to put your food in. The homeless shelter won't let me bring food into the homeless shelter. Yeah, they feed us meals and stuff there, but if I got food on my food stamps, I can't just bring it into the homeless shelter. They won't let you bring food in. So you've got to be able to buy things on your food stamps that you can eat right there. And like I said, the ghetto doesn't have a grocery store. The ghetto has 7-Eleven and convenience stores and places where you can get ding-dongs, ho-hos, candy bars, and pop, and ice cream. I used to get Ben & Jerry's on my food stamps. So eat shit, Republicans. Boo fucking who, cry about that all day. You know how many tubs of Ben & Jerry's I got to eat on your dime? Oh, I couldn't even count. I had it all. I had Cherry Garcia and fudge brownie and chocolate chip cookie dough and all these other flavors of Ben & Jerry's on coffee flavored ice cream on your dime. Booyah. Go ahead and cry about it. But that's why I don't care. That's why that is the, like I said, I don't believe that, some people are abusing the system. I was homeless for 115 days. When I moved to Texas, I had probably $200 left on my EBT card, and I spent that at the grocery store. In fact, I was this close to going and getting a bunch of lobster and filet mignon and cooking a big dinner for everybody at my friend's house as like a celebration that I'm in Texas. Let's eat filet mignon and lobster on EBT. And I could have. There was nothing to stop me from doing that. You can still go get lobster tails and filet mignon with your EBT card, but I didn't want to spend my whole EBT card on one meal. Even though I was like, if things were a little bit different, I would have been like, yeah, boy, cha-ching, I would have done it. But instead, I bought sensible food. Probably bought 3 weeks worth of groceries for myself after I moved here and just set myself up with some food so I'd have my own stash of food at my friend's house. I was sensible about it. I didn't go and blow it. I didn't go and do the filet mignon surf and turf dinner on EBT. But I was this close to doing it. I almost did it. But I'm like, Adam, don't be stupid. Just to be a dick. But I did buy Ben & Jerry's. I bought Snickers bars. I had Starbucks coffee drinks. Because you'd have breakfast at the homeless shelter and they serve dinner at 5-6 o'clock at night. And I'm on my own for lunch. So if I wanted to eat lunch, EBT, boom, sub, pizza, whatever. And there were days that I wanted to stay in the library and actually work because I was working on things and I was building a website. I'm trying to build and put together some things that are paying off now, in fact. A lot of that work that I did in the library while I was homeless set me up to be doing the things I'm doing now. So it wasn't for nothing. But there were days I would sit in the library until the library closed, which meant that I wasn't going to make it to the homeless shelter in time for free dinner. So I'd go to the convenience store, which is across the road from the library, and get a personal-sized pizza on my EBT card. Because I could. Because I could. Why not? It was either that or don't eat. And did I want to eat pizza? No, not really. Not really, but it was there. and I didn't want to eat ding dongs and ho hos and candy bars. I figured pizza was it was pizza. And like I said, I couldn't just go and buy groceries. Where am I going to put them? I'm homeless. So, like, I don't know, these Republicans that get all worked up and pissed off about that stuff, they don't think. Because all they want to do is fuck over poor people. I had to work to pay for my groceries. Why you freeloaders get a free ride? You know, you could be in the same boat someday too. You know, don't go thinking that can't happen to you. I'll never go a day in my life thinking that can't happen to me. I've been there. I know it could happen again. Crazy Tim Hortons I had to pay with my own money. Which I don't even know, the money would just, somehow I would magically have money. I had an Adobe account the whole time I was homeless, a Photoshop account. It's like $65 a month. I started paying for it when I had a home, but I never missed a payment to this day. But the whole time I was homeless, somehow the money would magically appear from somewhere and allow me to pay my Photoshop bill every month and other random software bills. And then after I got set up in Texas, I've subscribed to other platforms and software that I use for my business. Figma, Miro, Zoom, Notion, and there's a few more. They're all like, 10, 15, $20 a month. It adds up, but it's not like outrageous. But when I was homeless, I had the Adobe bill, and I would only sign up for things that if I couldn't do it for free, if there was absolutely no way to use the stuff for free, I would pay, I would pay for it if I needed to, which was Photoshop and Adobe. And there was one other thing, and I can't remember what it was, which one it was, but there was something that I actually needed to do what I was doing, and there was no possible way to get it for free. But everything else had like a free version that would work. But since now that once I came to Texas and actually had some income, I was like, all right, now it's worth paying the $10, $20 a month because I get more than I got for free. Figma is one of those apps. You can use it for free, but if you pay for it, you get a lot more. Same thing with Miro. Miro's free, but you can only have like 3 whiteboards in Miro for free, which was fine while I was homeless. It worked for me, but now that I've got more projects and more things going on, I've got like 8 big ass whiteboards in Miro for different projects. So I pay the $10, $12, whatever it is per month. But somehow I was able to do it. Tim Hortons, I was able to get coffee, donuts. Those couldn't use EBT at Tim Hortons. Believe me, Tim Hortons would love it if you could use EBT at the Tim Hortons in downtown Jamestown. Their whole business would be based on EBT if that Tim Hortons would take those cards. They were probably lobbying for that the whole time I was there because everybody in Tim Hortons was homeless. People would pee on the floor. That's how homeless that was. I don't know. Let's see. When I get off the thing today, I'm done. I've been working since 8 in the morning. I worked from 8 in the morning all the way until 5. Then I had to put my project away and kind of tinker around to get ready to do the live stream and kind of just put my thoughts together, what I want to talk about, and this and that. So I ate like a couple of like ham, cheese, and mayonnaise sandwiches just so that I had food in me. But I didn't eat anything like good. But I'm really not that hungry either now because I did eat those sandwiches earlier. So I'm probably just going to grab a snack. I'm going to go back to watching Star Wars. I am still watching it. The whole Star Wars saga from The Acolyte all the way to the Rise of Skywalker. Every TV show, 3D animated series, and all the live action Star Wars shows in chronological order as they take place in the Star Wars universe. So right now I'm still watching the Clone Wars. It's kind of boring. I'm skipping the cartoons. I'm not reading the books. There's some cartoons of Star Wars that are actually considered canon in the timeline, but I'm not watching those because that's for like preschool kids. That's like, there's one called Grogu, the cutest in the galaxy or something. I ain't got time for that. There's already enough stuff in this Star Wars list. There's 420 something episodes and movies when you put it all together. Now, the Clone Wars episodes are 20 minutes each. But there's like 7 seasons of that. And I don't know, the Clone Wars is a boring war. Because the whole thing was just orchestrated. So like it's the most pointless war in the history of the universe. It's way more pointless than any war we fought on Earth. And so like it's I don't know, and but it's like the longest Star Wars series out there. And George Lucas, actually, that was when George Lucas still owned Star Wars. He was one of the he was the one who made that. And it's not bad. It's not horrible, but it's kind of boring. But there's a lot of stuff. Star Wars Rebels is a show that was that came out right after Disney bought Star Wars. That's also a pretty long one, and it's a little bit more childish than the Clone Wars in terms of like the age that it's for. But when you watch these shows, especially like I've seen all this stuff more than once in my life. Me and my son watched all of it. I watched it when it came out. I've always been a Star Wars geek. But now that I'm watching everything from beginning to end, there's all kinds of little connections, Easter eggs, and things that you notice that you didn't notice before. Or where they're like foreshadowing something that's going to happen later. Or a character that appears in a movie 50 years down the timeline in Star Wars, he's actually in this show way back in the day, and you just you forgot about that, or you never knew. And like there's like in the show Andor, there's a place on the planet Coruscant, Coruscant is a planet that the entire planet is a city. There's this one place on the planet where you can still see land, and it's the peak of the tallest mountain on the planet. It would be like if the entire planet Earth was covered and it was all a city, and the top of Mount Everest was just a little rock that sticks up in the middle of a park in downtown whatever part of the city. And there's a railing around it, and you can't actually touch it, but it's right there, and it's just a rock. It's not even as tall as your living room. It's just like a stone, but it's the top of Mount Everest. And that's the only spot on the entire planet where you can see land. The rest of the planet is a city. Well, that was in the movie, or that was in the TV show Andor, and they explained it, and they had like these characters met at the park, and they were talking about it, and you learn what this is. Well, now that I'm watching the Clone Wars, that park has shown up in the Clone Wars like 3 or 4 times, but they don't talk about it. They don't tell you what it is. You would never know. It took them making that show Andor here back in 2022. This Clone Wars stuff was made in like the mid 2000s. So they're like, you're watching a show 20 years later that explains this little thing that you saw in a show 20 years ago. And now I'm watching this show and I'm like, oh my God, that's that park. That's that park where they met, and like just little things like that. Or you'll see that they're on a planet that's in some other show, and there's something on that planet that matches what was in that, and you just put these things together, and it's just kind of neat to see that people have that much attention to detail when they're putting these things together, and it's kind of fun to watch. But I don't like, Jar Jar Binks was a real high point in Star Wars. That's part of the problem with the Clone Wars series, is that there will be episodes where Jar Jar Binks is the main character in the episode, and I'm just like, oh my god, for 20 minutes I gotta listen to "Me So Stupid" and all that nonsense, and Jar Jar Binks, and I'm like, oh, this one's gonna suck. Here, let me get out my phone and let's see if anybody's emailed me, and like I'm kind of half paying attention to it. But then there will be other episodes where they're getting into stuff that's really interesting, and it's actually like some of the episodes are made for the grown-ups and some of the episodes are made for the kids. And you can tell, like, some of the episodes are actually pretty violent for a kid's 3D animated show. People are getting cut up and cut in half and stabbed with lightsabers and stuff, and like being thrown up. Like, there's a lot of violence, and like it's kind of a weird mix, because you'll have this episode where that's like definitely meant to appeal to little kids, and then the very next episode people are getting their heads cut off, and it's like, yo, like what's going on? So and that whole like Alex said, the Jar Jar is a Sith theory. There's spots in this Clone Wars series where you can see where that might have actually been real. Like, there are episodes of the Clone Wars that tie into that whole Jar Jar is a Sith theory. And so that's interesting to see. And when you look at it from that perspective, you can be like, maybe they were planning on doing something with that. I don't know. But it would be cool if one of these shows, because there is a book that talks about what happened to Jar Jar after after like all the way up through like the Emperor and the blowing up the Death Star in that era. Jar Jar is just a washed up homeless turd that everybody hates because it was him that put the Emperor in power, and so everybody hates him for it, and he lived the rest of his life as a broke-ass loser, homeless or something like that. And that's in a book. So that would be fun to have that in an episode of like a future Star Wars series where you just see broke-ass Jar Jar Binks homeless living in a box on a street in Coruscant or something like that. And everybody hates him and treats him like crap. They did throw Gungan's skull. They threw a Gungan skull in in Andor. One of the main characters has a antique shop, and there's a Jar Jar Binks skull in the antique shop. But it wouldn't be Jar Jar Binks' skull because he was still alive in that timeline. But Grand Admiral Thrawn is cool. And the thing is, if you don't watch those 3D animated episodes, like the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and all the different little side shows, like especially the animated stuff, you won't know who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. You won't know who Ezra is when you watch that show. You won't know who Ahsoka is. You'll see that show. You'll see the live animated show about Ahsoka, and you'll see she's in, I think she's in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and if not, she's in The Mandalorian. But there's all these characters in these shows, like the pirate, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. The dude with the hat. I can't remember. The bounty hunter, or whatever it is, Cad Bane. Cad Bane is in The Mandalorian and some other live action shows. And you wouldn't know who he is if you didn't watch any of those animated shows. Because a lot of these characters that they're bringing out for these TV shows were only in the animated series. So if you were one of these people who only watch the movies and the live action shows, who the hell's Ahsoka? You won't even know who she was. In Grand Admiral Thrawn, you won't know who he is. And like when you watch the Clone Wars, you see Admiral, or you see Grand Moff Tarkin when he was just a captain, and you see him rising up through the ranks and becoming more and more powerful. And you see all these characters, and you see where they came from, and you see like their backstory. Saw Gerrera. If you watch Rogue One, the movie, and you only watch the movies, Saw Gerrera is in that movie for 10 minutes. He's just this useless character, this weird old guy. You have no idea who he is. And what's this, who is he? What is he doing here? Why is he in this movie? But if you watch the Clone Wars series, there's a whole 4-episode thing about him and how he got so fucked up in the head. It's totally explained how that guy got screwed up in the head, and he's in Star Wars Rebels, and it kind of shows how he just keeps going off the deep end and getting crazier and crazier over time. And yes, Darth Maul. They pulled Darth Maul out of the dumpster after they cut him in half and brought him back. And so I just got done watching those episodes of the Clone Wars where Darth Maul returns. And now Darth Maul's getting his own animated show. They're about to release it in 2026. I don't know exactly when, but there's going to be a whole show where Darth Maul is the main character. So I'm watching these Star Wars Clone Wars episodes where Darth Maul is back in the fray. And all of these episodes tie together with the Han Solo movie. There's all this crap in that Han Solo movie that ties right into those episodes of the Clone Wars that I would have never noticed before because, the last time I watched the Clone Wars shows was a long time ago. And then I saw that Han Solo movie. But now that I'm watching the Clone Wars episodes that had Darth Maul in them, there's a whole bunch of stuff that ties right into that Han Solo movie. And if you watch the Han Solo movie, Darth Maul plays a small part in that movie. And so supposedly, I don't know, but supposedly this Darth Maul series that they're making that's supposed to come out next year is supposed to take place after the Han Solo movie and kind of go down that road. But that takes place before what you were talking about, JS, with the episode of Rebels when Obi-Wan and Darth Maul fought at the end. When Darth Maul was about to fight, when Darth Maul found out about Luke Skywalker, all that. So, if you didn't watch it and and you're hearing the spoilers, that you probably didn't care enough about it to care anyway. But, no, it's just kind of, it's definitely, I remember when I saw that they brought Darth Maul back, how lame I thought that was at first, but over time it grew on me, and I'm like, by doing it the way that they did it, it actually sets a precedent to make it more believable that Anakin Skywalker got all cut up by Obi-Wan, left to die, and then they put him in a suit and turned him into Darth Vader. And then you've got General Grievous, who was an actual living, some sort of creature, but he was mostly a robot now. But he had a real brain, lungs, and a heart, and the rest of it was a robot. But so Grievous, Darth Maul, those set you up to make the fact that Anakin Skywalker could be brought back from being left for dead and turned into a half robot, half dude. And there's other things. People get their arms cut off and they get a robot arm the next day, and it's no big deal in Star Wars to get your arm cut off or to lose half your body or to have your legs cut off, or you're just going to get a robot one. Like, and it don't seem to matter if you have health insurance or not. You're just gonna get a new robot arm. Like, imagine if we had robot arms here in America, but if you got your arm cut off, that's like $6 million to get an arm. And if you ain't got health insurance, you're just gonna get a wooden stump. Like, you're gonna get like a peg. If you lost a leg here in America and they had the robots and like they could just put you on a table and build you a new robot leg that's just as good as the leg you lost, like it's not even a big deal. Anakin Skywalker gets his arm cut off by Count Dooku. 2 days later, he's got a new arm. Like, it's nothing. Like, don't just give him a new arm. Stick it on. He's got like a robot arm that's just as good, probably better than the arm that he lost. No big deal. And but here in America, if we had that technology and you lost your leg and you work at a bakery making $7 an hour with no health insurance, you're going to be hobbling around on a fucking peg leg like a Pirates of the Caribbean 18th century pirate. You're not getting the robot leg. If you play for the NFL, for the Buffalo Bills, and you're the star quarterback and your arm gets cut off with a lightsaber, you're going to have a brand new robot arm 2 days. You're going to be playing in the game on Sunday. So, and then they've done some cool things in Star Wars. Like, somebody redid the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Death Star from the original Star Wars. And they did such a good job on it that you could splice it right into the movie and it would look like it belongs. I wish they would do a release of the movie with that in it, because it was so well done that it's seamless. It's seamless. It's one of the best things I ever saw for Star Wars fandom. You can look this up. I think it's called, Death Star Reimagined or something like that. Obi-Wan, Darth Vader Reimagined. It's good. But, so like you see how even in Rogue One, Darth Vader's a badass and he's throwing people around. He's got all these moves, but he's still a little bit stiff. And then he fights Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they can barely they used to be doing backflips and bouncing off the walls and jumping on little robots and doing all kinds of crazy shit. And now they can barely stand and smack each other with a lightsaber like they're in a nursing home, geriatric style. And I think that Obi-Wan Kenobi show that they came out with where they fought, I think that kind of helps come up with some sort of valid explanation as to why they were so beat the fuck up by the time they fought on the Death Star. Because that fight was so intense that they showed Darth Vader was a real badass, even in his Darth Vader suit. And then after that fight with Obi-Wan at the end of that series, they were both beat the hell up. Like, they both were probably at the end of neither one of them got much left. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. But I mean, with my video editing skills, I could just take that scene from that recut of the fight on the Death Star and splice it right into the movie and save out a file and just pass it around. Like, that would be easy to do. The hardest part would be getting the good high-res version of the movie in 4K or whatever, but I'm sure it's not that hard. I'm sure I could get it. I'm sure it would only take about 20 minutes to find if I just, go to the right spot. But, and that would be a quick splice. Just cut, insert, cut, save, done. And you got your perfect cut of Star Wars. Somebody made a version of the Phantom Menace where they took out every scene with Jar Jar Binks in it. And so, I don't know. I look at all the little details, and that's what's interesting to me. I even watched that show, The Acolyte, in chronological order versus it's out of order chronologically in the episodes themselves. And when I watched it in chronological order as the events actually take place, it made a whole bunch of sense. The show didn't make any sense the first time I watched it, and it was lame, and the acting sucked, and it was like watching Babylon 5 with lightsabers, and it was just terrible. But the second time I watched it, as part of this watching everything in order, I was like, this isn't actually that bad. Watching it in order, it was way better than the other way. And I'd already seen it before. And everything made sense all of a sudden. So I don't know, but it wasn't great. It was, the acting sucked. They had the woman who played Trinity in The Matrix as part of that show. And, they killed her off right off the bat. And I'm like, man, that the good actors and actresses that they had, they didn't do anything with them. There's a channel called Skywalker Stories where he redoed scenes and made it awesome. I'd check that out someday. But yeah, I get a kick out of this stuff. I mean, I can watch maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the Clone Wars before I'm tapping out, because they're 20 minutes, so that's an hour. And then I gotta watch something else, or, chill out, go to bed. Sometimes I'm just so tired I'll fall asleep. But I've got around 30 more episodes of the Clone Wars before I get to Revenge of the Sith. And then there's 2 or 3 more episodes of the Clone Wars that take place after that on this timeline I'm going by. And I know which one. I've seen all the stuff before. There's nothing on this list. There's this one. There's a few of these shows that they've come out with called Tales from the Empire, and a couple others where it's just 20-minute long episodes that are just these random shows, but they stick them in this timeline and they fit precisely. There was an episode of the Clone Wars where Grievous comes and takes out the Night Sisters on Dathomir. And, he completely destroys their whole civilization. And then there's an episode of this Tales from the Empire show that slips right in after that. And it fits. And it matches right up. You just watch this, and then you go to that, and then you go back to the Clone Wars, and it all just bang, bang, bang falls in place together. And I was like, that was pretty cool. How, but if you were just watching Tales from the Empire, it's just 8 or 9 shows that don't really go together, and they're just little 20-minute shows about nothing. But when you put them in this chronological order, it actually fits in. There's an episode of one of those shows where they show you that Count Dooku was Qui-Gon Jinn's master. And Qui-Gon was the Padawan of Dooku. And this was back when Dooku was a Jedi. And there's a couple of episodes where they're out doing shit. And you could see Count Dooku. And then there's an episode that pops right up along with Attack of the Clones, where Dooku and the Emperor meet in that little building in Coruscant, that dirty old warehouse or whatever. There's a couple of little episodes of these shows that happen in that same little dirty, dingy-ass warehouse right when Dooku and the Emperor were having their meeting. And so, they throw you some more details about stuff that you wouldn't know if you didn't watch all this crap. And so it's kind of like watching a big, long movie. It's like watching a movie that's 300 hours long or something. That's kind of weird. And even the Clone Wars episodes they're not in chronological order, because I just had to watch episodes 2 through 8 of one season, and then you had to go and watch episode 1 of the same season, and then episode 9. And I'm kind of how is that? But when you do it, boom, 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 it all falls into place, and it makes way more sense. So even that Clone Wars show, even a season where they have 10 episodes in a season, they're not in chronological order. and they bounce all over the place and they don't match up with each other. And somebody smarter than me put them in order of when things happen. And all of a sudden, like, everything makes sense. You'll be bouncing around. Like, there were some where you would be watching episodes from the first season, and then you'd have to go watch a few episodes from the third season, and then go back to the first season and back to the third season and back. But when you did it, everything makes sense. It's like, wow, it really did that. But when you watch it in the order that they're put on the seasons, like the order that they were released, they don't have a timeline. There's no flow to it. But when you watch it in this specific order, it's kind of like when you put the Dark Side of the Moon with the Wizard of Oz, and you're just like, oh wow. It's like that when you watch them in this chronological order. It's the Wikipedia website puts them all in order. And they have options to turn certain things on and off. I made my own list from that. And every now and then I'll check my list against that list because they've changed a couple of things around in the orders. Like Clone Wars explained Order 66. And then there's a show called The Bad Batch that lines up with different, like there's a Clone Wars episode called The Bad Batch. But then The Bad Batch became its own show. And then they showed how, like, the Emperor destroyed the planet of Kamino after the war. And all the clones that survived it are like, fuck that motherfucker, let's get him. And so, like that, like, there's this whole thing about that. And then I think it's kind of funny that, Jango Fett or Boba Fett is a clone, but different than the clones, and he goes all the way through to the Mandalorian show, and he ends up, sitting on Jabba the Hutt's throne. And, like, it's the same voice and the same actor. And they did a good job. And then that supposedly in Return of the Jedi, there's a couple of characters in the last battle scene on Endor with the Ewoks that look like clones with the white beard. And so they've actually said in canon that those are clones that survived all the way to, and like, I'm sure that wasn't the idea when they made Return of the Jedi, but it became like a fan thing that, like, hey, those guys look like clones. And so now they've actually come out and said that, oh yeah, those are clones. Those are the old guy clones that were still alive when the Battle of Endor came out. So who knows? They might, in this Mandalorian show or something like that. I mean, they could end up, or they might put out, some sort of show where they throw those old guy clones in it. Like, I don't know. They do cool stuff like that. And, like, they'll throw battle droids in shows that take place after Return of the Jedi. Like, someone took an old battle droid from the Clone War and used it for, put it in a bar serving drinks to people or some shit. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But they'll do stuff like that, and it's kind of funny to watch. And I don't know. I just get a kick out of all the little Easter eggs and all the little details and stuff like that. But I don't got time to read the books, the comic books, and all the crazy shit, and all these little cartoons for little kids, and the Lego stuff. Like, they say the Lego Star Wars stuff is all canon, and the video games are, and I don't know. I only got all that time. But we've been doing this for like 2.5 hours, and we can talk about Star Wars for a long time, but I'm going to go get something to eat, and we'll be back next Thursday. If you want to hang out on Sunday for the members only stream, you can check that out. And if you weren't here in the beginning, it's pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to support the channel and you don't want to spend any money, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, bookmark that link. And then if you go to Amazon to buy something, just click that link first. And then anything that you buy on Amazon, I'll get like 50 cents or whatever. I'll get something for it. And it don't cost you anything, and don't like you wouldn't even know it's happening in the background. And I'm looking for I got to get 3 sales from that affiliate link, or Amazon will turn it off on me and I'll have to start it over again. I've already had to do that once because the last time I did it, I didn't promote it. I got like 1 sale, but I got 50 cents, and they put it in my bank account. I got a deposit from Amazon for 50 cents one day from that stupid affiliate thing. But I got to get 3, and then they won't shut it off on me. So with that, thumbs up if you didn't do the thumbs up yet. Whatever you can do, that helps the algorithm and all that. You could be a channel member, and in the description below the video, if you watch the replay or any video, any of the live videos on the live tab have all the links that you can check out to keep in touch and to support the channel. There's lots of different ways to do that, and it's not about grifting and money grubbing. There's ways that you can be a cool channel member without dropping a dime. Because like I said, I used to be able to fill a shopping cart for $100. Now I can't even fill the basket. So I get it. But with that, I'm going to say good night. And some of you I'll see on Sunday, and some of you I'll see you next Thursday. And I highly doubt that I'll put up a regular video between now and then. But I am riding my bike. I probably will ride my bike to the bakery on Saturday. The weather's starting to turn a little bit chilly. I don't know what I'm going to do with filming all that like I want to. It's got to work some things out. I got to get my car fixed, be in a place of comfort, have a little money in the bank, groceries on the shelf, all of that. And then I'll have the peace of mind and the whatever I need to tinker around with camera gear and figure that out. But with that, I'm going to say peace out. We'll talk again.